Hello, everybody. カイ先輩なんですけれども。How you guys doing? I think we're live. I'm just going to double check really quick here. Thanks for coming by. I hope you know why you're here. And that is to actually express yourself in English for a little bit. Kind of learn an accent, kind of sound like a local, if you know what I mean. But we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. And I'm glad that you're here because every single day, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's about 10,000 people that watch my normal videos. So as much as I enjoy making a video, I also do want to focus on you. Because after all of this is just one big lesson, if you know what I mean. Like everything I'm doing is trying to get you to kind of like speak well with more confidence, and get you to kind of sound, well, quote unquote, normal. And obviously there's so many different types of normal. So let's not get too focused on what exactly normal is. But I will say the key to all of this is, well, mimic native speakers. That's it. And so that's all we're going to do. And I, look out on YouTube and I see, well, there's a lot of non-native teachers who are teaching English. Now, that's not a problem, like just because of that, right? Because anybody that's learned how to learn a second language can share how they learned a second language. So, there's value in that. But at the end of the day, you gotta just listen to native speakers and mimic it. So this is going to be that opportunity for you guys. I'm glad that you're here. A few of you are not here yet, so we're just going to wait a little bit, let everybody get here. But go ahead and say hi because it is live and it's happening now. So welcome. Let me just make sure, because one of the keys to all of this, for me at least, is that I have to keep everything fresh, right? I don't know if you guys know this kind of theory of novelty, but we're always looking for something new, like a new experience. And for a lot of you, becoming bilingual would be the experience that you want to experience in life, So how do you do it? And what are you going to do to get to that level of becoming bilingual, So I don't want to repeat myself too much on some of the fundamentals, because some of the fundamentals I talk about all the time, and you guys should be able to find that information if you wanted to find it, So a lot of times I come on here and I'll talk about, hey, you got to listen, you got to mimic, you got to polish it, and then you got to have a conversation. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix that. I like being able to point to it. I always forget that. I always make it really small right there. So if I can just get there, yeah, I can point to it if I go like that. So cool. Fixed it. Wow, look how much, better I'm getting at the software. See that conversation? So basically all of this is just to say that we need to have a conversation if we're going to actually learn anything. You can read 1,000 books, you can talk to 1,000 teachers, and nothing is going to replace the actual experience of having a conversation with a real person in real time. So, it's like, let's get rid of all of the bullshit. Let's focus on where you're at right now, today. June 15th, I believe, and Sunday in Japan. So welcome to what could be a pretty important day for you and for me as well, because it's always nice to be able to explain things to more people, because when there's so much confusion in the world, as I think you can kind of see if you kind of like watch the news and stuff like that. So it's like, what's going on? Like if you were actually to look at the internet for a second and look at all the news stories, you need to be able to ask questions to people who actually know something if you want to know something. You know what I mean? And there's so many different things going on, but I can assure you that getting your information from a human is, believe it or not, going to be this like 50-50 kind of thing in my head. Like, I think a lot of people are going to get confused by how do you say this? Because you guys have this saying with like something about a horse's, you don't look like something about a horse's, like a horse's bone or something like that. I'm trying not to switch to Japanese because like code switching isn't really good for you guys. So anyway, if you kind of like dig deep, right? What's going on, right? Where are we getting this information from? And the information that we're getting from a lot of different sources is questionable. I mean, it could literally be coming from a robot right now. I mean, there could be AI chatbots, chat GPT kind of things that are just writing scripts and then voicing those scripts. And then people are like posting that to YouTube, right? Now, what's the nature of the advice or the content? I mean, it depends. I've seen a few AI videos about science. And so it's, kind of true, I guess, right? Because it's science, but still I hear that robot accent and it drives me crazy. I don't know what everybody else is thinking. They're like, oh, let's listen to the robot tell a story. Oh, it sounds like a human, right? But it's like totally not. Like if you listen for even 10 seconds, you hear the robot accent. And why would anybody talk like that? So I'm here to, I don't want to say resist the AI revolution because talking to AI has definitely been part of my routine recently. And it's been helping me kind of analyze numbers, which is not my specialty. And that's a whole other subject. You know what I mean? Because like 10,000 people a day watch my videos. What does that even mean? I don't see 10,000 people in front of me. So how do I even begin to quantify what that means? But it does mean that you're listening, right? And, most of it's because of like the actresses. And, guys, I can see like all the data. Like you guys do prefer the actress video, the actor's video. The YouTuber's video gets a lot of activity every once in a while. And then I see all the videos that you don't watch. And it's like a real, humiliating isn't the right word, but it's just humbling in a sense that you really do have to try and express yourself if you want to see any kind of results, good or bad, right? So as a YouTuber, you guys can see my history and you see all the videos and you could see that some are better than others, right? But the few that are doing well, let's just put it like that, you guys are watching it. I can see where you're not watching it, like a lot of times I can see like if I start speaking English in the video that like, oh, everybody starts dipping from the video, right? So getting this feedback from everybody is super important for me as a YouTuber, right? Getting in front of you face to face would be like the ultimate way to see if like you're even paying attention to like the screen or the content or whatever. But like I can't do that right now because we're on computers. So we have to be able to read the room using the technology that we have right here. So, for me, it's like two lights and a camera and a microphone and a little drawy pad. You know what? Let's come over to the draw pad. Because I just want to say, whoops, let's see. I just want to do it and see what's up. What's up, y'all? Nice. You see that? I'm ready to go, ready to take notes. So I hope you guys are too. And do not forget, there is a chat. So if you guys do have any questions, please come to the chat right here. And I think the chat window is open. It looks like it's open from my end. Again, we're still kind of just waiting for more people to show up. So if everybody is like, what's going on? Everybody's late. They're always late. Like every time I've like kind of done like a webinar, seminar kind of thing. Well, the ones on YouTube at least, everybody shows up late. And I think there's something about like the algorithm or something like that. So we're taking it easy for the moment. No big kind of, what's the word? Activity. Because I'm waiting for you. And what we are waiting for, if we're going to be honest, is your interaction. Because this, at least in my head, is kind of like a vibe check, I guess, if that makes any sense. Because here, let me actually try to draw this out so you guys can really understand what it's like for me. There's like 10,000 of you, right? And I'm just going to draw all of you. But this is just a representation. And so, because it's really hard to quantify 10,000. So let's just say this is 10,000 people. Now, some of you, are watching this live stream as we speak, right? So it's like, cool. Everybody comes here and we hang out and we talk. Because honestly, if you're coming to my videos to learn English, the way that you learn English is by let me shock you. Is by having a conversation. So every time you watch a video, read a book, listen to somebody talk, listen to the radio, you're kind of having a conversation, but you're kind of not, which is fine because in a conversation you do need to listen, right? So that's, that kind of cool, right? You're like, all right, you're doing like half of the work. But the other half of the work is this one right there. The mimicking part. And this is like the one thing that is always hard to really awaken within you, because the mimicking part is inside your brain, all right? And there's nothing I can do other than to get you to do it, but very often you just don't do it. So, and I have all these tools to try to explain how to do it. For example, one of my favorite words really is this one right here. And, if you can guess it, go ahead and guess it. But it's like you guys see something, or it got in your head a long time ago, so you continue to say it. But the word that we're looking at right here has a very distinct sound, and I don't want to keep kicking a dead horse because you guys are alive, but what did I just do? Did you see that? I erased it. Darn it. So anyway, let's make sure we get this, because I don't want to keep talking about this, but I do need to show you because it's so prevalent, is that you guys are like looking. Here, I can zoom in. Check that out. Yo. All right. So this, did I erase the R? Oh my God. Stupid. Yes, I am stupid. Here we go. Boom. Fixed it. So this word right here, right? Like if you look at it all day, right? You can't hear anything because it's visual. So duh, right? But like, how do you think it sounds? 茶川さん茶川弁茶川ってなんだろうね茶川弁ってIELTS を受けようと思ってます。特に、ライティングパッド ライティングパートライティングパートね。はいはいはいはい。まあ、正直にね、茶川さん、こう、書いたり読んだりの勉強方法に関して、俺はそんなにアドバイスはないかな。ライティング、まあ、だって、今のね、カタカナを読んで、もし本当に会話してたらね、ライティングパートって言われたら、なんか、証明と思っちゃうんですよね。動画作っとるからさ。で、ライティングってなんだろうと思って、なんか試験に関してライティングって証明に何か関係あんのと思って。で、ライティングね。So, writing, right? So, man, I mean, it's interesting, but I will say this. You kind of, writing begins with your voice, and it begins by thinking in English. So, as long as, here, I can draw this one too. A lot of people have this attitude that, that basically their mind is here and that they have to like access the English mind. Here's the Japanese mind. And then they go back to the Japanese mind, right? But the thing is, you basically, more than how do you write or anything, you have to start thinking in English. You have to like really erase all of these thoughts that you're having in Japanese, basically. So, like, Chagawa-san, perhaps if you really want to practice writing in English, you should write in English. Now, I know we're having an honest conversation in Japanese, right? どうすればいいかって、だって、なんだろうね、自分の声っていうか自分って、まあ、やっぱり日本語じゃないって、まあ、その気持ちわかりますよ。だって俺は英語でいつも考えてるから、でもまあ、今みたいに、こう、茶川さんとね、なんか日本語でなんか言われて、俺、日本語で返すよ。間違っても、なまってっても、ね。まあなんでかというと、結構練習してきたから、ね。なんだろう、こう、日本語聞こえた瞬間に、どうも、海先輩です。This is a really good story. And I'm going to say it in English just because I don't want to be like whatever. But I was in West Hollywood and I was at a dog food store in West Hollywood, super high end, super fancy, like fresh, like they were cooking dog food and putting it in freezers, right? So anyway, me and my friend were there, and then I heard some Japanese, and I was like, どうも、なんか、久しぶり、なんか日本語聞こえましたね、みたいなロスで、なんか、珍しくないって。But anyway, it turned out to be Laura, ne? And somebody. So just the weird kind of like, if I hear Japanese, I think in Japanese, right? But I understand the feeling that, well, I speak in Japanese. That's who I am, right? And I get it because I think in English a lot of times. But yet you just have to hit a switch, and you got to flip the switch, and you got to start thinking in English. And the best way to start thinking in English is to listen to the sounds that you're hearing and assume that they're your own thoughts. It's your own voice, right? Because for the moment, as long as you listen, these thoughts that I'm having are your thoughts because you are listening. We are connected. We are doing some sort of like telepathy in the sense that you can't see the connection, but you can hear it. So, yeah, Chagawa-san, I think I'm saying that right. だってお茶でしょ、ガワでしょ。だからChagawa-san, I highly suggest that if you want to practice the writing part, then practice writing in English right now. So, that's the advice. And because, boy, I can draw this too. I like drawing. Watch. So basically you practice here now a little bit, but you get used to it. Like maybe start a journal or something like that. And then, so yeah, you could be like, okay, do the chat with Kai Senpai in English. Now I'm doing a journal in English, right? And so now your kind of experience is getting bigger. And you're like, okay, maybe I'll do like a blog or something like that in English. Or maybe I'll do like Instagram posts. And in the Instagram post, I'll write like a little diary or something like that so I can practice my English, right? Do you see how this isn't some sort of hack? You know what I mean? Especially like on a test, right? Like, and by now it's like, I don't even know why they're doing tests like this anymore, because any native speaker could like tell if you speak English in like a minute, 2 minutes, right? It's kind of crazy to think about why we even take a test anymore, because you can just convince somebody that you speak English, and it's weird. I mean, I knew a guy who was raised in Japan, but he went to an American school in Japan. So he's Asian face, but he's kind of like 100% all there mentally American, but he looks kind of, Asian, for lack of a better word, right? And he had that like American upbringing from the American school, but then when he came to America, he totally sounds like an American, by the way. He wasn't raised here, so he didn't understand a few things, right? So not like English, just culturally, you know what I mean? It's like a little different, but of course he learned, because it's not like it's hard, but there is a difference, being raised in America versus not in America, right? But basically, technically, because he was not raised in America, he had to take like a TOEIC test. But he speaks English like I do. Like literally, even better than me. Like honestly, like he's very funny, imaginative, really talkative, super like trilingual, interesting person, right? But totally like 100% speaks English 100% like me. AKA native. And he had to take a TOEIC test. And it's just ridiculous, because anybody with an ear and a few questions, like 3 good questions, you can probably evaluate if somebody speaks English or not. So, yeah. So honestly, in my opinion, Chagao-san, I don't know why somebody would take a test, because it just doesn't make sense to me personally, because I've never had to take an English test, right? 逆に考えると、なんか日本語能力試験がありますよね。留学したとき、3級を受けた。That was a long time ago too. But I've never had the desire or purpose or necessity to ever take that test again, because I can talk. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. It just really depends on what your goals are, to be honest. Like if your goal is to get a job, then okay, you do have to pass the test, but how do you practice? Well, start writing right now. Just like literally start writing. Like here's a chat window. Go ahead. This is why I'm doing the live stream, is to give you somebody to actually talk to actually talk you through some of the things that you guys are going through. But my overall purpose isn't to like be the only person that you talk to. It's to give you some advice or some tips so you can go out into the real world that you're experiencing and actually kind of like navigate it a little better. You know what I mean? So yeah, for you, Chagao-san, I would, if you need the test, I'm not going to judge or say anything about that, because maybe you do. Like, I get it. Like, you honestly need to take the test because you need to get a job. I get it. You have to jump through hoops, as we say. So yeah, practice by writing right now in English, practice by doing a journal, practice by Instagram posts where you just practice using your English to like describe the kind of post you're doing on Instagram or something like that. And that's a good way to start thinking in English and expressing yourself English, in, by writing, right? So yeah, that's where I'd start. But then 2, I'd really kind of like think about like what your goal is, because like I said, any native speaker is going to know that you can speak English or you can't. Right? So that is a deeper question. And that really just kind of gets into like, well, what are you doing? What's your goals? Right? So, and I can't say anything unless I know what your goals are. So, but just with the test, that's that goal, right? So what's the big goal? What's the immediate goal? These are important things to think about, but like putting it all into like an action plan is kind of like the important thing. And so if you want to put it in an action plan, like really quick, this is it. Because if you really want to speak English, right, like writing part aside, you got to have conversations. That's it. Like, like talking and listening, thinking, talking, listening, right? Like literally having conversations. And so again, this is why I'm doing the live stream. 1, to give you guys a chance to talk. But 2, like to actually maybe strategize, think about how you're going to do something, how are you going to get better? What can you do in your circumstances, in your situation, right? And then 3, actually provide a chance to do some English conversation. But I just don't really recommend that because, there's so many resources in your immediate like neighborhood. There's people around you. There's people that know people that can possibly, interact with you in English. So there's no point in like leaning into the internet to have like a conversation, because you could just go out in reality and talk to somebody there, right? But then again, I don't know. You got to tell me. Like, I went to Kyoto last year, and there was English speakers on every goddamn street corner everywhere. Well, in the tourist area, right? So Kamogawa, so they're everywhere. Like, you just got to go out there and look for the opportunity, look for the chance to get out there and actually have a meaningful conversation. But, that's like another subject altogether now, right? Like, we're talking to people in reality. So is that what you want to do? Yes, no, maybe so. I don't know. But I wouldn't try to learn or take a test just because, So your motivation and your goals are super important. But whatever they are, pick a goal and then kind of like go from there, So anyway, nice little question there. But getting back into even why I don't even think about like reading and writing English is because like primarily English is a sound, right? And there's different versions of the sound, right? The different like variations, patterns, right? But there's, 3 general versions of English. Not the same, but different. But they're understood to be 100% English, right? But the sounds, the accent is what we're talking about here. So if you look at this word, all the Japanese people, I swear, that, learned it in Japan, say abroad, yeah? And it blows my mind because it's abroad, right? So the ah sound, this one right here, is a I U E O no ah, abroad, right? And I can say that. I've said this to people, like abroad, abroad って言われるのね. And it's like, okay, this is why I say you gotta mimic, but you gotta mimic what you hear, not what you see. So that lesson is the only lesson for the rest of your life for every single word and phrase that you're ever going to say in your life. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? Like, invent a new language? Or you could just learn the one that everybody else is using. And to really understand language, you gotta have a conversation because, well, it's a listening exercise, right? And if you really want to join the conversation, get better with the conversation, then here, look again. You got to mimic. And then the hardest part, probably, because it's kind of like the boring part, but it's to polish what you're saying. しなければなりません。しなければなりません。しなきゃ、しなきゃ。やらなあかん。やらなあかん。やらなあかん。書かなあかん。帰らなあかん。帰らなきゃ。帰らなきゃ. So anyway, I used to practice like this a lot. And, you know, I'm all right. Could get better if I tried a little harder. I would get better if I lived in Japan again. But maybe we'll talk about that soon. Because for the meantime, it's me kind of like giving you guys the opportunity to have the conversation, right? But it's like, well, if you don't take the opportunity to have a conversation, then you won't get better. I hope this really makes sense. That you can read 100 books, 1,000 books. You can write 1,000 books. But if you never have a conversation, you're never going to learn. And I think that a lot of people are like, oh, well, I got to prepare for the conversation. And it's like, well, yeah, you do. But kind of like you put on your shoes before you practice, you still need to practice. And so this practicing part, you can practice by yourself, kinda, but you can only do that for like 6 weeks. Like when I got to Japan, the first 6 weeks were kind of like overwhelming. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to focus on. Then when I finally understood that accent was what I had to focus on, then everything got easier a lot. Like, I swear, like the basics stuff it just becomes obvious after a while. And then the things that become hard are the more fun kind of things where you like try to actually share your dreams with somebody. Have you ever done that? So it's kind of interesting, right? 世界旅したいよね. Like, okay, well then what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? What are we going to do when we get there? You know, that's another thing, because like I was like traveling around and, you know, because you guys are in Japan, I was trying to stay close to Japan. And anyway, the traveling around, and I realized, well, I'm just editing all these videos. And, you know, like when I was in Vietnam, it wasn't like I could understand Vietnamese, you know? So it was like, oh, there's all these other kind of problems that you have when you travel. So are these the kind of problems I want to have right now? I mean, what kind of problems do I want to have? What kind of challenges do I want to have? What kind of adventures do I want to have with my life? And I don't know. These are questions you guys got to figure out, you know? But like sharing yourself, sharing your dreams in English is kind of the dream. But who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to share it with? Where are you going to go and share these? You know, like what's going on here? You know, I just chatted with somebody, one of my kohai, or is going to become a kohai. And apparently just kind of like they were interested in my subscription course. And I can tell you guys about that later. But I think he or she was motivated because they came to California to see Oltani play, you know, in LA. And so, yeah, it's like you got to have some experience of traveling and talking in English. And they're like, wait a second. I want to get better. I want to have more conversations. I want to tell my story. I want to hear more stories. You know what I mean? Like, so having you guys' motivation for what you're doing is super important. But like once you decide, oh, I want to speak English, that's my goal. That is my goal. That's what I want to do. Well, then this is what you're going to do every single day. And I don't want to say it every single day because it's like this should be subconscious by now. Like you should just know what you need to do. And if you want to get better, then you got to go out and talk to people. That's it. Like there's 3 steps, but if you just say there's 1 step, conversation, that's it. Now, how do you have a conversation? Well, you listen, you mimic, and then you get better at what you say. You polish your kind of like script, right? And that's just how you get better. If you talk to 1,000 people and you do this process every single day, you're literally going to get better. Like 1 person a day. If you guys can get out and have a conversation with 1 new person a day, you will get better. You will expand your consciousness. You will hear the different speaking styles, right? And from there, after you get like a pattern, right, you begin to choose which kind of speaking style that you want to do for your life and your friends and whatever, right? Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I can imagine some people only speaking English while they play Fortnite. And if that's the case, then you got to learn the lingo of Fortnite and you can just speak to your squad mates and actually have a good time. And that'd be cool, like if that's your thing. But again, I don't know what everybody's goals are. I don't know how you engage with English. I'm assuming it's through the internet, and which is fine. I do too, but it's just weird because I didn't learn Japanese on the internet. I learned Japanese from humans. So if there's not enough humans in your study method, you need a better study method. Does that make sense? Seriously. Just look around. And when you study English, do you spend most of your time with a human or an AI chatbot or a video? So this is why this live stream is so important because I'm not a robot, and it is live, and it's real, but even this is not a conversation. You're only getting half of the benefit you should be experiencing, because if everything is just going in and nothing's going out, then, well, what are you doing? You're not having a conversation. You're just listening to another song. You're just another spectator sitting on the sidelines, watching everybody else have a parade, There's so stupid. Oh, and there's so many stupid things happening. アメリカのニュースとか見てんの？最低でしょ。ね、いろいろあるからさ、それも話になりますよね。トランプ大統領の、精神病違うか。which was super interesting. 通訳者がトランプ大統領の壊れてる英語をやり直してるらしいよ。そう。あんまり考えたことなくて、と思ったんだけどね。でも通訳者がもしかしてね、トランプ大統領の言ってることちゃんと通訳してないと思うよ。それこの間ネットで見たんだけどね。直接彼の英語を聞いてったらね、ちょっとなんていう word salad になりますよね。意味がないっていうか、集合はなんだっけみたいな、はぁって感じ。なんであの人の話してんのみたいな、そんなの関係ないやんみたいな、わけわかんない話ばっかりやからさ、狂ってんのみたいな印象がありますね。直接彼の英語を聞いたらね。でも通訳者の英語を聞いたらね、やり直してるし、丁寧にしてるらしいよ。よくわかんないけどね、トランプの日本語の字幕、通訳者のあれ聞いたことないからな。俺、ご本人の英語聞こえるから、理解できるからね。そういう、lost in translation のところが嫌だ。直接経験したいって感じだよね。だからみんなの目標は何だろうねって感じですね。英語を バイリンガルになりたいんだけど、どうすればいい？わかんない？ 2025 年なんかもう英語で喋りましょうかって感じですね。Like, seriously, you know, when are you gonna get it kind of thing? So I'm gonna do a quick little recommendation. And you guys, I think you can see it because I put the link right there. But like, if you wanna なんか海先輩ともっと一緒に勉強したかったら、ぜひ俺の3ステップ学習法、ご覧くださいね。本当に勉強になるから。これホワイトボードだね。はい。そうだよね。俺の3ステップ学習法でいろいろ説明しますね。アクセント、1000人より1000人ね。それで教科書より単語帳。でも、本当にね、毎日正しく勉強したらね、もう3週間、6週間だけで上達するよ。ね。で、今までなかなか上達の気持ちがなかったら、多分、アクセントに、中心してないんじゃない？だからじゃない？わかんないけどね。なんていうね、一応やってみないとわかんないから、ぜひね、もし本気で、なんていう勉強っていうか喋れるようになりたかったらね、俺の3ステップ学習法、ぜひご覧くださいね。なんかこういう面白い勉強になるからね。結局、アクセントの勉強するんだったらな、こっちの、なんていう、特別の発音、母音、子音ね。それをまず勉強しないといけないですね。それで、省略パターンの勉強ですね。だって、what are you reading? What are you gonna do?What you study? かっこ系ね。What you study? What do you want to do? Or no, ちゃう。What do you read? No, what do you read? Where do you live? ね。こういう、なんていう、いつも系文法の形容詞みたいなことなんですけれどもね。でも、こういう、会話パターンがありますよね。質問パターンがありますよね。例えば、Why do you want to study English? Right?Why do you want to study English じゃなくて Why do you want to study English の方が基本なの。ね。幼稚園レベル英語なのね。だって What do you want to eat tonight? って What do you want to eat tonight? って夜何食べたいのぐらいの幼稚園レベル英語なのね。だから本当にね、こういう省略パターンいっぱいあるからね。こういう省略パターン知らないから、英語がなんか早いって感じですね。何言ってんのみたいなね。もうみんななまっとるから、ね。このなまりの方を勉強しないと、英語を聞き取れないっていう話っていうか、もう決まってるんじゃないのって感じですね。こういう基本の勉強して、発音とか省略パターン、それしてから、じゃあ、会話になってから、いろんな人と話すと、自己紹介とかさ、セールスとかさ、ロマンスに関していろんな話があるんですけれども、基本的に、もう何でも言っても、発音しっかりしましょう。それで何でも言っても、ロマンスの話しても、自己紹介しても、学校に行っても、省略パターンも使うから、もう君も使ってくださいって感じですね。本当にね、こういう勉強って、こういう省略パターンとかアメリカンアクセントみたいなね、小学校からやるべきだと思うんですけれどもね。小学校って中学校からわからんけど、でも、もしね、本気で、こういうカリフォルニアの訛りを勉強したかったら、俺の3ステップ学習法をご覧くださいね。あれがあるからね、ついてるからね、リンク、どうぞ、あれをクリックして、一緒にちょっと頑張りましょうね。ちょっとサブスクリの方がちょっと期間限定だから、よかったらね、それ、見てみてくださいね。で、そこから何か質問があればね、チャットしてくださいね。だって、俺のコースって、なんていうself-study っていう日本語で、なんか自分で勉強したかった、自分のペースで勉強したかったら、なんかそういうサブスクリの あるし、なんかグループレッスンもプライベートレッスンもあるから、なんか、まあなんだろう。君の目標は何だっけみたいなね。ただの教材だけで勉強になると思ってったら、じゃあそっちどうぞって感じですね。でも、海先輩と一緒に勉強したかったら、まあ、それも、オプションだから、どうぞ、俺の3ステップ学習法ご覧くださいね。So, now that we got that out of the way, where does that leave us? Because if I do remember correctly, according to my 4 gears, we got to be basically having a conversation. And that is the only thing that really I need to be focused on, is like making sure that you guys have an opportunity to have a conversation. That's it. Now, from my perspective, when I have like 10,000 people watching my videos, I think a day, right? I can't talk to everybody, and not that everybody wants to talk to me, to be honest, right? But if everybody did want to learn, like, well, how do you become bilingual? Like, what do you say at a job interview? How do you make friends? Anything, right? Well, okay, so you want to study with somebody. You need somebody to, well, like a senpai, right? Because I'm not going to be your teacher. Your teacher is going to be the 1,000 people that you're going to talk to in the future. I'm just kind of like your intro guide on how to get out there and have a conversation with people, you know? I remember I met a Japanese guy in California, and he kept saying, yes, yes. He was listening to me, and I was talking in English too, right? I'm like, oh yeah, you got to go to Newport, check this out. He's like, yes, yes. And so I kind of just like, ちょっと待って。日本語で考えてるやろ。はい、はいって。We don't do that. Like, it was news for him, but he was just thinking in Japanese, like, oh, you know, when you listen to somebody, you just say yes, right? Like, well, no, we don't do that. If you've ever seen like real, you know, Americans talking to each other, yes, yes, oh yes, yes, yes. It would be some sort of like Seinfeld episode or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just kind of awkward to be such a yes man, you know? But anyway, that's why I say having conversations with real people is like going to be your teacher, not me. And it's one of the things, it's one of the paradoxes of teaching English online at all, or to anybody really, is that like my goal is to set you up so you don't need a teacher, right? My goal is to make you self-sufficient in speaking English. And my goal is to help you become satisfied with your own English, right? This is 100% about you kind of like experiencing your own voice. So one of the things that I do find as a benefit, I think everybody should kind of like think about this for a second, but if you don't know what to say, if you don't know what to think, then borrow my thoughts for a second, because that's all you're kind of doing anyway. I definitely borrow thoughts all day long. Like if I'm watching stuff about politics or about computer programming or about AI, I don't know what's going on. So I listen to experts, and then their knowledge goes into my head. And now I kind of have thoughts about AI, but it's 100%, at first it was 100% just rumors, but now that I'm actually interacting with the AI, it's experience, right? But basically, the more experience you have in English, the better. But you need to be literally switching your thoughts into English. So how do you do it? Well, you borrow somebody's thoughts. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to speak English right now. We speak English, right? And this is all you got to do is you just have to say this. And you know, you can say we, you can say I, it doesn't matter. But I would say, I don't know, it depends, because it depends on who you're speaking for, you know, because like we Californians think differently than people in Texas, and everybody knows that kind of story, but like, well, what do we really think, right? And it's really hard to think for somebody else, right? Because as soon as you say, well, we in California, we think this, there's going to be an exception to the rule. So, you know, it's really hard to say we, right? だけど、日本では、なんだろうね。ちょっと we っていう気持ちが強い。ね。まあ、我々じゃないんだけど、まあ、日本ではいろいろ決まってるから、もうみんな知ってるって感じ。だから、we use chopsticks, we take off our shoes, we eat rice. まあ、we is Japanese people っていう、なんていう、集合 right? So, if you want to think like that, then you need to practice. So, like, if you're like introducing Japan to foreigners, right? So, we, you know, have a lot of people here. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could tell the story of Japan, but just using like a native accent, right? So, do you want to really talk for Japan? Or do you want to like talk for yourself? You know what I mean? So, these are things to think about, but it's all about the stories that you want to tell, right? So, you know, like I say, and you know, it's my 3 step 学習法っていうかさ, but basically the stories that we tell are super important. But what stories are you focused on? And here, I mean, there's so many different kinds of stories that we could be talking about, right? Your self-introduction, you could tell your backstory, where you're from. You could talk about what you're doing, what you do, where you live, right? Where do you go to school, right? Or you can talk about your dreams, your plans, the things that you want to do, the future. There's so many things that you could be talking about. But then we can also be talking about like your business. And, you know, a lot of people are like, well, there's over tourism in Japan, right? So it's like, okay, well, talk to them. What do you want to say to them? They're bringing millions of dollars over to Japan. Maybe you can help them spend their money. You know what I mean? Like maybe you can offer them a little bit of your product. Maybe you can tell them your story, get them to spend money with you. I don't know, like, what are you doing? You know, like there's a whole world that loves Japan. So like get out there and talk to somebody, right? So I don't know what stories you're telling. I don't know what you're trying to say, but if you need to practice, then you got to pick a story. You got to pick a character, you know, and then you kind of rehearse those things that you want to say. So, dad talks, なんか変な名前ですね。カナダ4人暮らしで。I mean, dad, I mean, 変な名前って、I mean, that, like, most people have a name, but I'm going to call you dad talks. モントリアールから、こんばんは。どうも。アザブジュバン違うか。That's kind of crazy, right? I was speaking French, by the way. Yeah, because I've heard in Montreal everybody speaks French, and that'd be kind of cool to actually experience. So I can only imagine what life is for you like, Dad Talks. But good evening. I already know it's evening because I'm in California, but you're over there, and that's weird. Why? So Dad Talks, just out of curiosity, why would you be watching me? Like, I'm curious because I never know. Like, I was in Kyoto and I went to this one Starbucks. I was only there for like a week, but I talked to so many people. But it was it kind of became like apparent, like that everybody had their own like famous person that they like watch, and then they were like, "Oh, Kai Senpai did a video about my favorite famous person." So everybody has their own, like, I don't know, idol, hero. I don't know what you want to call it, but like, and then through that, somebody gets introduced to like my lessons. So yeah, I'm always curious how people find my channel, but I'm glad that you're here. And it's really hard to imagine all the different lives that you guys are living, which is kind of interesting for me. Like I said, this morning I chatted with somebody who came to LA to see Oltani. Now I'm talking to Dad Talks, who's in like the French part of Canada. And it's like, why would you be there? Why would you go there? What's going on? Like, what's the story there, right? There's so many people doing so many interesting things. It's cool. But, me speaking in Japanese just doesn't benefit anybody as far as like English goes, and I try to minimize the Japanese, but like that's why it's always so like conflicting, because like if I was to do the live stream for my benefit, then I would speak Japanese and have fun because it's for my benefit, right? And my benefit for me is doing the thing that I like to do. And believe it or not, I like speaking Japanese. I kind of feel good at it, like I worked really hard to kind of sound somewhat normal, right? So, and it's always fun to keep practicing. I don't know how else to say it. It's fun. And being in California, I don't get a lot of opportunities to practice Japanese. So if I wanted to do a language exchange, which I guess I could, and I guess that could be like a video one day or something, but like that's what it would be about. So all of this to say is that the entire point of my entire channel, be it like a video about a famous person or a live stream that you're watching right now, is to get you to be able to talk like I'm talking right now. You know what I mean? So it's like, if your name is Chagawa, I would be like Chagawa-san. Like, it's so funny, right? But like, that's literally, I think, my first impression. If your name is Chagawa, だってChagawaでしょ? 田川じゃない、佐川か。漢字ね。振り仮名がないとね。でも、茶川に聞こえるよね。俺の、なんていう、English の、アメリカ英語の気持ち入れて、イントネーション入れて、Chagawa-san, hey, my name is Chagawa, nice to meet you. And like, if you literally say that, just like that, people are going to think, oh, you speak English, way to go. Where are you from, California? No, actually, I'm from Tokyo. Like, you could like, well, but you're English. I'm like, yeah, I'm talking like everybody else does. 違うか. You know what I mean? You could totally be confident and speak like an American, and it's totally normal, and everybody wins, So, I don't know. That's kind of my goal, right? Is to get everybody to kind of like, I don't know, improve just a little bit. But if you don't do the things that you need to do to improve, then you're not going to improve. And that's just one of those ironic paradoxes that nobody really talks about. It's like, how do I improve? Well, here's a book. Nope. Here's just like another course. Nope. Like, you got to be specific about what you want to study, you know? Like, I had 2 books when I studied Japanese, basic grammar, kind of basic Japanese, and a Kansai Ben book. That's it. That's all I needed. Because after that, well, I had the kanji book too, but for speaking and listening and, you know, having conversations in Japanese, those were the only 2 books that I needed, because everybody else became my teacher, you know, and then my new book became my flashcards, because those are the words that I wanted to study, because those were the words I wanted to use in the conversations I was having with my classmates at 東舞鶴高等学校2年5組 ね? You know, you just craft your life and your English to the things that you're actually doing, and then you're going to get better so much faster. I mean, man, talk about like just priorities. Like, once you focus on the only thing that matters, which is having conversations, then that's all you do all day long, right? So, again, this would all make so much more sense if I was living in Japan, and that's just going to be another subject for another day because of that visa thing, you know? I got to get a visa in Japan, but we'll talk about that in a second. Ebiko-san, hey, I'm Emiko, it says. So it says Ebiko, but I say that I see the Emiko. So, hey, I really enjoy your lesson. Thank you. People say my pronunciation is improving. Sending warm thoughts from Japan. Please take... Wow. Thank you so much, Ebiko. Pronunciation is improving. Very cool. That's good to know. It feels good, right? And then another thing too, and this is like the secret one, I think, that I don't even really talk about too much because it's so hard to teach it. But intonation. If you start to like practice your intonation, and you can kind of go slow with it too, because like once people really start tuning into intonation, you can hear it on everything that we say. And so if you just really practice your own intonation, people are going to notice like, oh, you're really hitting those like intonation like notes in the right spot. And that's just one of the hardest things to teach because it's invisible, right? Like it's sound, it's like singing, but none of the lessons ever discuss proper intonation for like actual conversation. You know what I mean? So yeah, Emiko-san, throw in some intonation and then just totally feel how your English is going to get better, because you can actually slow it down, but just focus on the intonation and like, oh, that's a whole other layer to this kind of like complicated puzzle of language, right? But seriously, take a second, do that, and it'll be like, it becomes like super fun because like most native speakers are absolutely unconscious of their pronunciation and their intonation. And as soon as you get them to say, hey, teach me English, they switch into like, teach, what do you mean? And they start talking like a robot. I saw a video about a super fluent white dude. I think he was British, but he was born in Hokkaido and he speaks fluent Japanese. I heard him speak Japanese. And I was like, whoa, ペラペラ外国人ですね。すごい. I was impressed. But then he switched to English because he was talking to like some like kids or something. And he was like, I teach English. Do you kids like English? And he switched into like teacher voice. And it was so stupid. I'm like, oh my God. So basically, okay, hot take. Listen to this, guys. It is important who you learn English from. I would learn English for somebody that learned English, right? But then the secret that they're going to tell you is that they learned English from native speakers by mimicking native speakers. Like, honestly, hey, look, this is between me and you guys, okay? There is one particular YouTuber that I'm thinking about who's like teaching pronunciation. But it's like he learned pronunciation by listening to native speakers and people from lots of different countries. So that's what you should do too. Right? You don't listen to him. You listen to native speakers, right? So in the same way, don't listen to me. Get out there and actually talk to a native speaker, and then you're going to experience these things firsthand, right? And so it's like, oh, I don't need the internet. I don't need a teacher. And I'm just going to learn from the people around me, and I'm just going to mimic. That's all I got to do. And then that's it. Done. Case closed. We can move on now, right? So yeah, all that to say, Emiko, I hope that, yeah, you throw in a little more complexity to it, have more fun, and then focus on that, like kind of like singing voice, you know, and people will notice. And you'll know that they notice when they just like, well, somebody might notice and be like, oh, wow. But a lot of times when you're really getting good at English, things just feel normal. It's not like, お、すごいね。もう今日も上達してるよね。すごいすごい。なんかその応援者みたいな気持ちがなくなって、なんだろうね。すごく日常的に、ね、何したいの? You know, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Like, you just get this like normal feeling, you know? So, the initial kind of like, oh, 上達してるね。すごい。なんか、なんで褒められたみたいなね。That feeling is going to end the better you get. Because then people are just going to assume that you're like an English speaker. You know, like the better you get. That's what I'm saying. Like the better you get, the more normal everything feels. Does that make sense? So, all that to say, this is why the live stream is super important for me, because I want to make sure that you guys are getting a lot of airtime, as you know, as we say. So airtime is just like actual time spent in English. And like I always say, that time spent in English is not reading, writing, books, you know, scrolling. It's time spent listening, mimicking, polishing, you know, polishing, getting better, improving, polishing, improving. Sorry, I have the little thing on there for the P's, but P's pop a lot. So, you know, you gotta like, if you're gonna do a P, you gotta like pull back, right? So anyway, but it's a sound, right? That's what I'm saying. You got to practice these sounds. That's why I'm even listening to earphones, just so that I can actually pay attention to my voice and not anything else. Like, honestly, if I had like a TV production crew or something like that, I'd have somebody else do click this button, you know, and set up all the written stuff, just because the greatest service that I can possibly give you is my attention. And for me, the greatest thing I can do for you is for me to listen to you. All right. Now, I'm not going to mimic you, you know, because I've actually done that. I had to learn katakana eigo. And I remember getting told, because there was an American teacher, Jamie, wow. And he was like, oh no, yeah, you got to learn katakana English. Just this, anything you say with a normal accent, nobody's going to understand. So you got to say it, you know, in their katakana style. I was like, oh, okay. And so I remember like spending like a whole week really learning like the katakana eigo rhythm. リズムね。スタジアム。スタジオ。ミルク。I practiced カタカナ英語。Because at the beginning, I'd be like, 僕は、アメリカ人です。結構黙ってったでしょ。ね。僕はカリフォルニアから来ました。みたいな喋り方だよね。But, じゃあカリフォルニアみたいな喋り方、一応練習したよ。だってカリフォルニアって言ったらなんか、外人臭いみたいな。あったんだよ。まあ、田舎の方に住んでたからね。まあ。That's the whole point. I was just trying to talk like everybody else. You know what I mean? マクドナルドも、練習しましたよね。マクド。But that's the whole point. Like, who's gonna like, I don't know, relinquish, I guess, Who's gonna be less hard-headed and who's gonna be open-minded? And so it's kind of funny, but as an American, as an arrogant white American, I really think that going to Japan really, back in the day, kind of humbled me, got me to listen, got me to try to like listen to others, because nobody really paid attention to me after the initial shock, so I had to really learn how to talk to people and learn how to tell stories and stuff like that. So, all this to say that conversations is the only thing that you can possibly do. And even this live stream is not enough. The real world with real people and real situations is what we evolved for, like thousands of years of evolution and human society. We're all about our conversations and our stories that we're telling each other. But these stories that we have are literally limiting your access to reality, if this makes any sense. But the sooner that you become bilingual, the sooner that you're able to join the conversation, and the sooner you can influence the conversation. And it's crazy because, like, I know that, like, I've been teaching the same thing since, like, 2006, 2007, because I, like, instantly understood that, oh, you guys don't even know what the California accent is, Like, let me try to explain. And I spent months developing my California accent course because you guys didn't have it. You guys didn't know it, and you still don't know it. So, I literally talked to thousands of Japanese people, and thousands of Japanese people didn't know what a California accent was. I thought I have a solution for that. And sharing that solution is part of what I'm doing. But the whole goal, again, right, is to have a conversation, right? But how are you going to have a conversation? Well, you got to get out there and listen to people. Then you got to mimic them. Then you got to polish what you say. You know what I mean? Now, I don't really go into this kind of American accent too often, but I want to prove a point, kind of, is that there is a different way of talking if you just get out there and listen, right? Now, most people around me don't talk like this, like in the open, you know what I mean? Because every once in a while you hear some sort of thick, kind of like Southern drawl, and it kind of sticks out, for lack of a better word, and it just sounds so goddamn fake, just can't believe that somebody actually talked like that. But then I went to the state of Tennessee once, and I heard somebody talking something something similar to this, and it blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. People actually talk with an accent. I couldn't believe it. I'd met British people, you know, I'd met Australians, I'd met Canadians, I met people from New Zealand, right? But if there is one accent that you just don't hear, like on the day-to-day, it'd be Southern accent. And just hearing it like coming from a real person, just so surreal, you know what I mean? I mean, it sounds like a cartoon. I think like I learned the Southern accent from King of the Hill. So yeah, if you guys want to learn a Southern accent, you should be watching King of the Hill. But I digress because, you know, like what TV shows have you seen? What cartoons have you seen? Like, what do you know about our culture? And that's another conversation, I think, because I don't know. There's so many different ways to slice and dice all of this, like things to talk about, you know. But all said and done, the live stream that I'm doing now is just a light version of the full version that I want to do soon. But I don't know. Okay, here it is, guys. Let me reintroduce what I'm thinking. And I've kind of been like talking about it a little bit, but so 10,000 people see me a day, and I do want to talk to you, like all of you if I could, right? Now, how many people actually want to have a conversation, I know is like way more than the actual number of people that ever, you know, show up or say something, right? Because I've been in Japan long enough. I remember when I was sitting in my class in Japan, nobody would mimic me. You know, like they were spelling things like A-E. Okay, spell cat, right? Shi, A-E, Chi, みたいなね. And, you know, talk about blowing my mind, right? But, and then too, like when the teacher like asked somebody to volunteer, ask a question, nobody ever did, you know? So I understand what it's like to have a conversation in public like this, but I want to do this in public, and I do want to challenge you, literally you, because it's like, hey, what are you doing, right? Like watching this live stream, or are you having a conversation? And so like over the course of this hour, 86 people come in here and, I don't know, check out what I'm talking about, learn something for like 5 minutes, right? And that's cool. 5 minutes is like great. But the truth is, you got to be spending 10 hours a day practicing if you really want to get better, like fast, right? But 10 hours, oh my God, that's so long. So it's like, look, I can help. And I have like an idea that I think is going to be like the balance point for all of this. So if you hit the link right there, watch my video, understand my 3-step system. Like I think that everybody should understand that we're going to be talking about accent, California accent, that we're going to talk to 1,000 people, and we're going to make flashcards, right? But if you want to learn more, I have like my California Glamour course. And so the course, you know, is super valuable because like it's taking like, you know, these fundamental American accent, like shouryaku pattern, contraction patterns, and it puts them all into one course. So you're basically like downloading all of this experience, all of this conversation into one course that just like mimic it. You know what I mean? It doesn't explain everything. It just shows you like miraike, right? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Mimic it. What are you gonna do? It breaks down the California accent so you can listen, understand it, mimic it just like we do. So what are you going to do? Sounds fast. Break it down. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And now all of a sudden you can say not only just what are you gonna do, but what are you gonna watch? What are you gonna cook? What are you gonna make? What are you gonna study? What are you gonna be when you grow up? Now we're getting even more complicated, right? What do you want to have for dinner? So all of a sudden it's becoming a lot more complex, but at the base core of it, it's just what are you gonna do? What are you gonna eat? What are you gonna watch? What are you gonna buy? What are you gonna listen to, right? But just listening to that right there just supercharges your mind because now you can use it. You can use that shouryaku pattern, and now you can sound like a Californian, just like that. So my course is like super rad, but I want to make sure that everybody's actually learning. They're actually listening to the course, they're actually practicing, and they're actually talking to people. That's what I want to do. So I had to think of a way. How do I make sure everybody's happy? How do I make sure everybody's taken care of? And how do I make sure I can listen to everybody? Because I can't, listen to a million people. That's just not going to happen. But I can listen to like 10, 20, 30, 40, depending on time and depending on like the structure of the group, right? So I have basically started a subscription kind of thing. And I wonder if it's going to be good enough for you guys, because my time is spent mostly thinking about YouTube videos. I know it's crazy because with click-through rate, with average view duration, with average percentage viewed, the game of YouTube, the puzzle is interesting to me, and I'm kind of good. And I really mean that. Kinda. A lot of people are better than me. Like, I get it. But for basically with no production team, I'm doing pretty good. Because like, I swear to God, I look at every single other YouTuber out there and they're getting help with filming, post-production. And I just really wanted to make sure that I didn't really need to use other people. I didn't want to become dependent on using other people. Does that make sense? I wanted to help you guys directly. And this is my work in a sense, is managing millions of people. So I had to find like a balance point of like teaching as many people as possible and my time. And it's a tricky math equation. And so I've been talking to AI and it's like, yo, try this, do this. And so it's like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, this all makes sense. Okay, this makes sense. So everything I think is going to start with like a basic little subscription level. And you can do that. And I'll say it right now, it's going to be about $10. I think like when you translate it into yen, it's a little high, like 1,400 yen or something. But anyway, the idea is that as many people as possible can take this course and learn from it, right? But my time, like if we're going to be doing like a, like a group lesson or a private lesson, that's separate, all right? But for the core self-directed study that you might want to do, I have a little subscription thing. So go check it out. I put up the link. You guys can click it if you want, but you can see it's a pretty ridiculous price. And I don't know how many people are going to take it. So we're going to find out. We're going to see. But by doing it this way, one, you get full access to the course, but then two, you get a weekly live stream from me. So my idea was that if you want to talk to me via Zoom, I'm going to do it live in front of everybody, but just because we're in public. Like, there's no reason to like be private, unless you need a private lesson, you know what I mean? Otherwise, get outside, practice, and talk to people, right? And so if you're going to talk to people, let's just pretend like, we're at a park and we're on a park bench and we're just having a conversation. You might as well just say it out loud in front of other people, right? So basically, if you sign up for the subscription, we're going to have a weekly live stream here on YouTube, and I will invite you onto the Zoom, and you guys can ask me any questions that you have, anything at all. You can ask about the course, like, which one should I listen to? You can ask about pronunciation. Like if you're having real trouble with the TH sound, we could talk about that. Like anything that you're having trouble with, we will address. And if you don't have problems with pronunciation and, shoureka patan, whatever, well, then let's talk about, I don't know, your self-introduction. Let's talk about your business English, right? Like, let's talk about your sales pitch. Or if, let's say, and this is always a fun one. And, but like one of my best friends lives up in Canada and his wife is Japanese. And so my friend is like Canadian, Romanian, whatever. So there's that kind of like international couple dynamic, right? And so that's always an interesting conversation because so it's like, he's my friend. Like, I get it. So there's something to that kind of like, you want to talk honestly about, your love life, right? So that's always an interesting subject, but we don't do that in public, you know what I mean? But everybody's curious, right? Everybody's got a story. So yeah, like we can talk about that too. Like, that's always a weird one though, to be honest, because so many people use each other. Growing up, trust me, I think this is a lesson that we all learn, that like at what point do we depend on each other and what point are we self-sufficient, and yeah, we all do. We all literally go through this kind of like independence, depending on other people kind of like situation. So, as far as like a relationship is concerned, is this just like an English lesson you're looking for? Is this really love? Do you just want a family just because everybody else has one? I don't know. But these are things to talk about because, that was one thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to see this video. I wanted to watch a video, maybe with you guys. I don't know. But it was like explaining how Japan doesn't have a high birth rate. And Japanese society is going to really change in the next 50 years. And this is something that we're going to have to talk about because a lot of times, like I'll see a video, like, oh my God, I saw this one video and it was like explaining how Japanese samurai, use Zen, I think, to clear their mind, the Zen Buddhism to clear their mind. But you know who was teaching about the Japanese samurai? An Indian guy. I find it weird, like he could be an expert, maybe. But if somebody's going to teach me about Japan, I would hope that they were Japanese, right? But I think, and this is something we got to discuss because in the future, well, if there's no Japanese people to explain Japan, then it's going to be people like me who explained Japan, you know? So I don't know, guys. Like, this is something that we really got to think about. I've been burning bridges for many years. Anyway, I love your app. I use it almost every day. The Immortal. Thanks so much. Yeah, burning bridges is one thing, but then building new bridges is another thing. And so there's definitely, burning bridges aspect about society. But building a new society is honestly the much better conversation to have anyway. And yeah, I mean, we only have a little time. My camera is probably going to die. Like, I got to fix it, but we'll talk about that later. So, really quick before the camera dies, I wanted to, and this is kind of like my dream. So screw this little lesson. You know what I wanted to do? Oh, here, I can do that. So this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to get a piece of land. I think, oh wait, I'm not drawing, sorry. So I wanted to get like a piece of land, and then I wanted to make like in the middle, like a fire pit. And then everybody would have like their own, my buddies basically, or anybody that wants to live here, I guess. We would all kind of like split the land like this. And so we would have like our house here. Maybe somebody has like a roundhouse right here. Maybe somebody has like a pyramid right here. Everybody's got their own land, right? And then somebody else has like a circle. Maybe this person has like a dome. I don't know. Whatever. So maybe this person has like a really tall building. Whatever. Like, you can build whatever you want, right? And another pyramid. You got to have pyramids. Lots of pyramids, right? So everybody's got that in their own land. And then on their own land, they have like rivers, and this guy is like a mountain or something. Maybe this guy has got like a plain with like trees or something like that, like whatever. But then in the middle, everybody comes, and there's like a tent and a fireplace and a meeting place that everybody can kind of like come together and talk and do cool things. Like, I don't know, like I was kind of thinking of like somewhere in Northern California or Hawaii or Japan. And you just need a piece of land, and you just need a house. And then, like for internet and energy and stuff, the options are only just going to get better, like going into the future. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of like a long-term plan. I'd say this is like a 10-year plan for me. But in Japan, in Hawaii, like, it doesn't matter. The borders are a mental construction anyway. You know what I mean? Like, they don't exist. They only exist in people's minds. So what are we going to build when there's no borders anymore? AKA the internet. We can do better for sure. So I'm just not used to the whole, after all these years, right? I don't like being on the internet. I'd rather be in reality. But I understand the importance of connecting to the internet and the world. So it's kind of like maybe drinking alcohol that, if you drink too much, you get a headache. I think in the same way, like the internet, you should only use like in low doses, And so that's why I really work hard to do what I do, not because I don't want to talk to you guys, right? Like, if I could talk to you guys every day, I would, right? Like with like a live stream, be like, hey guys, what are you doing today? Like, tell me about it. But as you can see, poor me, but like only 100 people come to the live stream, right? Only 100, right? And I think maybe like on a normal live stream day, I don't really go out or do anything because I want to focus on doing the live stream. But for me to talk to 100 people in one day, that's a low day, guys. I just don't know how else to describe it, but it's like if I make a video and 10,000 people see that video every single day and they like it and it helps them, I'm going to spend more time making the video. Just because it's kind of like the fuel for all of this. But this live stream then becomes like a special kind of a hour, 2 hours just for special people like you who want to take learning English seriously. So I think starting next week, I'm going to offer the Zoom lesson to people that want to do the Zoom. So that's going to happen next week. And in the meantime, if you want to be a part of this new system and you want to join my little kind of like subscription kind of lesson kind of thing, go ahead, click the link, and we can do that there because I think, I don't want to do too many emails either because not that I don't want to talk to you. It's just I don't want to do emails. You guys have to understand the day like my video went viral, like 2018, I had hundreds of comments on YouTube. And I see all of those as a conversation, like somebody just texted me, you know what I mean? And like the crazy things that people say or the genuine conversations that people want to have, you know, like it's all just text, you know, it doesn't mean anything to me. And so even now, if I look at like the monitor, this doesn't mean anything to me. It's like, oh, I'm just talking to myself. But I know that you're there. So it's like, okay, I'm not crazy. But it would be much better if we can have like a face-to-face conversation. So that being said, what I'm going to do, and we're going to try it just because like everything has to balance with like my time and what I'm willing to give. I'm willing to give you guys a lot. I don't know if you guys know, but you know, you don't get paid to make a YouTube video. Like you might get money if people click the ads, you know, but just making the video doesn't make money. It's kind of like an investment of time. So as much as I'd like to invest time into doing a live stream, I can only do it like that much. And you guys got to be serious, because if you're not serious, then I'm not going to do it. Like, you know, I can get like a 1.5 million views if I do the next video, right? That's always on the back of my head. But I also have to have a conversation with you because that's literally how anybody's going to learn anything, including me. So all said and done, I think this little membership thing would be like the best balance of giving everybody access to the course and my time to teach everybody, because, you know, 100 people, 1,000 people, how am I going to talk to everybody? Well, we're going to keep it kind of low key, and you're going to have access to me through the email and the chat and through this live seminar. So next week, I'm going to send out the Zoom link to my students and only my students. So if you guys want to talk to me, sign up, become a member, join the subscription, become a Kai Kohai. And then we're going to be able to have like a weekly conversation like this, where literally I can check in on your progress, answer any and all questions that you have about the course and about your life and your English in that life. You know what I mean? It's 100% me paying attention to you. It's just that it's going to be in the seminar. So there's going to be a lot of people that want, you know, the advice or whatever. But, you know, all you need is a little bit of advice from me, because your real teacher is not me. It's going to be the thousands of people that you talk to in reality. So that being said, this is goodbye. I'm going to leave. I'm going to basically go eat dinner because it's Sunday night over here in America. So guys, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. I really do. You literally are why I'm here. I'm glad that you're here. I used to do my live stream 2018, and I'd always kind of say the basic script of like how you got to learn a language, and everybody did learn from it, read the testimonials, right? But I like saying new things. I like having I like having conversations with real people, and I like being spontaneous. So doing the live stream this way for me is just more healthy, for lack of a better word. And doing it in a format that allows me to talk to you is going to be way more powerful than it ever was. And that way, even if it's just 10 to 100 people that join, well, that's 10 to 100 people that are going to be a little bit better than they were before. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it, but it's kind of like a test. So if you guys are serious about like actually becoming bilingual, then, hit that link and let's chat. But if you already speak English, then share that video with somebody who's learning English, all right? Become for a lack of a better word, I think that it's called like a fanboy or something like that. But yeah, seriously. なんか、君は英語ペラペラみたいな感じだったらね、じゃあ英語勉強してる友達にシェアしてください. It's really funny. Somebody did that. They shared my channel. And the person they shared the channel with was my friend from 10 years ago. Crazy, right? So anyway, I appreciate all 102 of you. Amazing that, just for a Sunday that I can talk to 100 people like this is kind of cool. And I know that you're all shy. It's all good. It's another thing too when everybody really starts getting in on it, but we can do that next week. So anyway, camera is about to die. I'm getting hungry. So this is it. Guys, take it easy. Have a good night. I'm glad that you came. And if you have any questions or anything like that, like I said, go to my website, sign up, and we can chat and talk and do all that kind of stuff in the future for the next few months. So anyway, take it easy, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye.